The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show
on Original 106.
We were talking last week, Emma, about all the health scares that just come rolling in. Well, coffee's good, then it's bad. Alcohol's good, then it's bad, good. So today's food report shows coffee bringing a decreased risk of dementia throughout the day, but a suspected stiffening of the arteries by about lunchtime tomorrow. An increased risk of heart attacks in the morning will improve throughout the day, with heart disease likely to lower throughout the week following the results of tannin and antioxidant levels from across the Atlantic. Wine should continue to protect against heart attacks, but be wary of high levels of consumption in the south of England, spreading north during the night, bringing rising blood pressure and increased risk of strokes. The outlook for oily fish and vegetables remains positive.
Some good news there.
However, tuna remains on alert due to high mercury content, and cod should still be avoided unless essential due to continuing low stocks. Poor meat-saturated fat levels early in the week should see vegetarians suitably smug. This is likely to change next week when low vitamin B12 and iron quotients are linked to anemia and Crohn's disease. Overall, the rest of the week is looking good for enjoying a handful of unsalted peanuts and a few organically brewed beers to calm all your worries about food. And I'll be back with an update in half an hour.
The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show. Back tomorrow morning from 7.
On Original 106.
Everybody wake up! The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show
on Original 106.
Whilst I'm on my high horse, just very quickly, listener, good listener, at home or driving along, will you forgive me 2 minutes to just go on a little bit about the fast, which is this Olympic flame, and the protests, and everybody in this country casually assuming that we're quite right to be anti-China because they violate human rights. And so we have this sneaking admiration for these poor Tibetan monks who are valiantly trying to bring down some 18-stone athlete carrying an Olympic flame. And it's PR hogwash, guys. Okay. The whole thing is massive PR hogwash. The Dalai Lama might be nearer to God than thee, but he's bloody good at PR.
You reckon?
He knows exactly where the G-spot is, and he's got it with this Olympic flame. It's brilliant.
So, what do you think? Tibet has no claim of human rights abuses against China?
Absolutely not. No.
Why not?
Because Tibet is part of China, as much a part of China as Cornwall is part of this country, or the Isle of Wight is part of this country. It has been historically.
But if we started abusing the people in Cornwall, then they would
what
still
abuses
have
are they
human
exactly?
rights. No, I'm just saying.
We don't know very much about. Everybody thinks that there are massive human rights violations taking place in China, and I don't believe there is one living English person who can name a single human rights violation, and they certainly couldn't validate it if they could name it.
Wow.
Well, it's true.
Give us some
We're
time
so
to do
bloody
some
lazy
research.
when it comes to these easy opinions. And the other thing is, everybody in this country now decides that the Chinese violate human rights and that the Tibetans, they're all for them bringing down the Olympic flame. And so, they pick up their made-in-China mobile phones to phone radio stations whose equipment is undoubtedly made in Baizhong province.
That's a boy.
Okay? To get these views across. Okay? And they sit there making these views, wearing clothes which are entirely made in China. True? Is anybody here wearing anything that's not made in China?
I have no idea.
I bet you everything you're wearing, Sean, is made in China. So if you want to be anti-Chinese, get your kit off. No thanks, actually. Emma, you can.
Yeah, well, all right, if Sean does.
So, I have no idea what's brought this burst of Afghanaism on in me, but on the other hand, those are the things that I believe, and they're reasonably
But you've got to strike a balance, haven't you? Because it's like saying, I'm sure we all want to save the environment, but at the end of the day, everyone's got to get to work, and public transport is rubbish, so you probably have to drive your car. And until a better alternative comes along, there's not really much you can realistically on your day-to-day life do about that. So, okay, everything here may be made in China, and what you're wearing may be made in China, but until you find a suitable alternative, you probably have to go with that. But that doesn't mean you abdicate from all other opinions on the country.
Feeble. That was feeble.
The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show. Back tomorrow morning from 7.
On Original 106.
Everybody wake up! The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show
on Original 106.
We talked earlier on the programme today to Lindsay German, who is the convener of the Stop the War Coalition. Just trying to find out a little bit about what made her tick, really. And Rob, is it was listening?
Yeah, I was. Your assistant was just asking me what I do for a living. I was telling her it was I mend upholstery, mate. One of those dead-end jobs that you've just slagged into the ground.
Yeah,
morning.
okay. It is. I mean, what a waste. Who needs that?
Well, I'm still working,
Yeah.
so people do need it.
They want it. Nobody needs upholstery.
Well, but I think yours is a dead-end job, but you still do it.
In any case, I was talking about the god of upholstery, and yes, perhaps I am the god of broadcasting.
Unfortunately, I'm a bit prickly, mate, because I'm quite cross with you, which is why I've called. It was about the way you treated somebody, about their opinion, and you shoot down their opinion, and I thought you were, a bit aggressive about it, and I kind of feel you've got a responsibility, perhaps, to show all of, everybody's opinion with an equal light, rather than making them all your opinion.
Yeah, no, I haven't been aggressive with anybody this morning yet.
No, not yet, no.
No, not yet. But what I may have done, what I may have done was to ask somebody some unusual questions about what motivates them to do what they do.
Well, look, right now, mate, the last thing that motivated me to amend this bloody chair in front of me was listening to your radio show.
Yeah, all of that, but can you be a bit more specific then? If you've got a beef, can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, yeah, it was about the nobility thing.
About what?
This nobility thing, I must admit, you did come out almost immediately after I'd made my call, unfortunately, with something, that actually supported perhaps a noble intent. It was where you were ripping down this idea that, we're all the same, there's no nobility left. You made some comment earlier on, and that must be halfway on a radio show to come out with, stuff that...
Can I just interrupt your stream of consciousness for a second?
Oh, no, it was a stream...
Fascinating as you must find it.
So don't be offensive with me, Tommy.
Well, you started it, because I don't think you listened very well.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you can't quote what you said. You think you heard something, and you chose to dislike it, because that's what men are like.
Well, yeah, maybe.
No, they are. I know.
Well,
I am one.
Thank you, mate.
And I'm a student of human nature.
Yeah, but you're saying that you are a man, therefore you understand the ways of all men. No,
I know that you can't quote me anything specifically that you take issue with.
I thought about it, but that's not what we're doing.
You shouldn't have to stop and think about it. If you have an accusation that you want to deliver at somebody, it helps if you... Hang on. If you have an accusation that you would like to make to somebody, it helps if you know what it is.
Yes, it was. I thought I explained that.
No, you didn't.
Put across. Okay, well, I'll be more concise. My basic beef, Tommy, if that's what you're trying to get to the crystal of it, is the way you seem to say that your opinion is everybody's opinion, and it's not necessarily, mate. You might actually be wrong. You might have a feeling about.
When have I been wrong? Tell me when I've been wrong. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We could look that one up as well if you like, but it's not the sort of thing to do in a conversation. I'd have to go away and think about that and think, oh yeah, there's that case and that case. I mean, there's one that comes to mind at the moment, which first set me off on all this actually, because I often listen to this radio station, and it was some comment to some bloke that was giving his opinion of the Hitler thing. Do you remember that? And I felt that you bullied that man verbally. I thought you were horrible to him, and I felt quite uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, well, that one's done and dusted. This was a man who said... Can you stop interrupting me like he did?
Oh, okay.
Conversation involves listening, which I do to you.
Yeah.
And talking, which you certainly do to me.
Now, here was a conversation that went on, and on, and on, until, eventually...
I know more about people than you do about upholstery.
Yeah, you're right, because I'm not an upholsterer, because I just felt it was a thing to say at the time, because you were slagging into somebody, which I disagree with.
Now, you see, I'm not allowed to lie, and I wouldn't even if I could. So you can't come on the radio, you mustn't come on the radio, right, with giving out bogus information about yourself. So what do you do for a living, then?
I'm an Arctic driver, as I told Emma. Now, when
it's a fine and noble profession, but I rephrase what I said earlier. I know more about human nature than you do about driving an Arctic.
Well, no, there you're definitely wrong, mate.
You see, the thing is, you know a lot about Arctic driving, don't you?
Well, the point is, the point to be proven.
Don't you?
I don't think that I know enough about the situation to comment whether I know more about driving an Arctic than you know about human nature or not.
I'm pretty certain that I'm further up the pecking order.
Well, I'm glad that you've changed that to pretty certain.
I haven't changed anything. We're talking about something different now.
You were telling me...
Can I just ask you something? Can I just ask you something? Are you enjoying this?
Yeah, as much as you are.
Yes, am I, yeah.
The Tommy Boyd Breakfast Show. Back tomorrow morning from 7.
On Original 106.